Well, now a double whammy for South African consumers this week. Petrol, we know, has gone up, but so will electricity. The energy regulator, NERSA, has approved additional hikes for Eskom over the next 3 years. Now, this is apparently to claw back money for hikes that Eskom has been able to prove were too low in the past. Effectively, then, the utility is going to be able to claw back 32 billion rand that it spent between 2014 and 2017. And this is going to affect our price hikes from next year and the following 3 years. This through a mechanism that's called the Multi-Year Price Determination Regulatory Clearing Account. To discuss this, we're joined now by energy expert Ted Blom. Firstly, I'm a lay person, so just talk me through this, Ted. Eskom goes to the regulator, applies for a tariff increase. Quite often, NERSA says, no, that's too much. 3-4 years later, they go back and say, actually, you can have a little bit more than what we told you could have. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Absolutely, that's exactly what's been happening, and to the amount that it's been happening since 2008 is more than 1.4 trillion above what I estimated Eskom should reasonably have required as tariff increases since that period of time. So there's something wrong here because, as you rightly say, they play good boy, bad boy in the beginning, and then Eskom comes back and does a massive clawback. And in fact, this clawback covers the Gupta years, which the public protector has pronounced were tainted and were rubbished by excessive spending.
It makes it a difficult question, a difficult one certainly for consumers to swallow, because we know, as you say, those were the so-called Gupta years, not least because we know that part of the troubles the utility has been facing have been of their own making, and we know this from several investigations, from several reports. So on what basis then does the regulator say you can have this money back?
Well, that's a further thorn in the flesh, in that the initial ruling of approval of half of the application of 66 billion rand was announced about a month or so ago. They've now apportioned it as to the years that it's going to be applicable, and none of this has the reasons for decision been announced. In fact, yesterday's announcement said the reasons for decision will be announced in due course. Yet, when I attended the hearings, and I attended several of the hearings at an expensive cost, I had NERSA agree, and unprecedented called me back a third time to agree that they will not approve or will have restraint in approving Eskom's claims because of the taint of the Gupta expenditure and other theft. There wasn't only the Gupta theft, there was lots of other theft as well.
Now remind me, as far as I can recall, I think it was last year, you were part of investigating previous tariff requests. You were part of looking at whether or not Eskom's numbers were justified. And that you were doing for NERSA. What came out of that process?
Well, the problem is that NERSA also plays hot and cold with the public, and when they need you to justify and hold Eskom back, or to slow down the pendulum, as they call it, they call you in and they make you part of the team, or part of the debate. But then on other occasions, seemingly the pendulum swings in Eskom's favour, and that's where it is at the moment. It's certainly been in Eskom's favour, and it was so last week at the further public hearings on demand charges, which again I've claimed are fraudulent from Eskom's side.
So to business owners, homeowners, people
farmers,
watching our discussion, farmers, anybody who needs power and who's going to be paying for it, what does this mean in rands and cents for us?
Well, the bottom line is that at these ridiculous tariff prices, the bottom line is every time you switch the plug on, you've been ripped off.
It's as simple as that?
Absolutely. The tariff should be no more than 40 cents a kilowatt hour. And you and I are paying in excess of R1.20 a kilowatt hour, and some poor people are paying up to R5 a kilowatt hour.
And is there no explanation that contextualizes what we've been seeing at Eskom in the last 4 or 5 years around the state capture project? Is there nothing that would say, here's a flag around that? Are we assuming a perfect world in which none of this happened?
Well, absolutely, and that's why I've called for a full forensic audit. And it needs to start in 2006 when the first corruption took place on the coal account that I am aware of, and I've got an Eskom report confirming that. But we don't get the shareholder, The Department of Private Enterprises, they haven't called for a forensic audit. We haven't had Eskom call for a forensic audit. And I think the problem is they're too scared to see what skeletons are going to come out of this.
So what? Let citizens, let consumers pay for the mess that was created?
I think the public that keep quiet will pay. The public that are ready to stand up and talk will not pay. And I'm calling upon people to support us in stopping this nonsense.
Right, Ted Blom, thank you very much for your perspectives this evening. Energy expert there, Ted Blom, giving us a sense that, we will feel it in our pockets as the price of electricity goes up. Back to Francis.
All right,